Get out of there. Mikey, get out of there. Come on. Out. Say without question, if I did not have four-wheel drive on this truck, with the exception of maybe getting a really good run and go, I would not have made it through that little bit of wet, muddy grass right there. And that's just the reality of driving a truck that's lighter on the backside where all the power goes if it's a rear-wheel drive truck. I used to have a two-wheel drive truck. I upgraded to this because I wanted to be more mobile. I wanted to be able to get to places that I otherwise wouldn't be able to reach without four-wheel drive. Having good tires, good traction, all really, really important, but I think a four-wheel drive pickup truck is just a really, really valuable tool. And if you are a man, I believe that your vehicle should be a truck. Just a tool, just like every man should own a hammer. Just like every man should own a tape measure. Every man should have basic tools. If you're gonna own a vehicle, you should have a truck. You can haul more equipment, more gear. You're gonna be so much more capable, so much more mobile, and just be more able to get things done. Now, I understand we all have budgets and we all have to work around those budgets. I am no different. I do not make that much money. I am very careful on how I spend my money, but I am not loaded. Definitely not. So I worked really hard. I saved up a lot of money and I was able to purchase this truck, and I built this truck up the way that I wanted it so I could be more mobile and more capable of getting the job done, whatever that job may be. Keeping your vehicle properly maintained is also super important. Having good tires, like these tires, they're just about slick. Look at that. It's time for me to swap them out because I'm not going to be as mobile as I could be if I had a more aggressive tread on here that wasn't wore down. Now, along those same lines, if you're talking about tires, tire selection is always a big one, and it's always tricky. The more aggressive the tire, the less life typically that you're going to get on the road. And if you're not doing a whole lot of off-roading and stuff, and you're typically staying on the pavement, you know, you need to weigh that out and you need to balance that out and make your decision because, you know, like I said, a really aggressive all-terrain type tire is going to wear out really fast. It's not going to last you very long, and tires aren't cheap. I get that. So I like to pick something kind of in the middle, not something super off-roadish, not something super on-roadish. I want something kind of in the middle, and that seems to work really good for me. That goes for everything for the most part. Pretty much all my decisions when it comes to gears, I pick the one in the middle. And while we're on the subject of mobility, mobility is life. You know, the ability to move from point A to point B, carrying the gear, supplies, the people, the necessary stuff that you need from point A to point B, it very well could be the difference between life and death. Being mobile is often the difference between being in a survival situation in the first place. So let's say I'm on a hiking trail. I've been hiking for a couple days. I feel good. I'm awesome. Suddenly I break my leg. I am not mobile anymore. And now I'm in a survival situation that otherwise would not be a survival situation. I've got all the gear and all the necessities that I need, but now that I'm stuck. So along those lines, being fit, being strong, being healthy, eating properly, not being overweight, all of these things are going to contribute to you being more mobile. And the more mobile you are, the better you're going to be at all situations. Most of the time, you can get out of a really, really tricky situation just by being more mobile. A survival situation doesn't have to be a survival situation at all, as long as you can get out of it. I think it's always important to dress appropriately. If you look at what I'm wearing right now, this is a typical Monday kind of outfit for me. This is what I look like. I got rubber boots on because I'm always in the mud and the muck. I'm in and out of the creek and all kinds of stuff. And I choose this footwear because it's the most practical and makes the most sense for my environment that I'm in on a typical daily basis. However, if you wanted me to run a 5K in these rubber boots, I would be suffering. So these are all options. We have to weigh out our options, and we need to dress appropriately for the climate that we're in, the conditions that we're in, and we need to weigh out the pros and the cons. Some sort of waterproof type hiking boot might be a better choice for me because I could be more mobile in it. I do, however, train and run in these rubber boots from time to time, so I know what it's like, I know what I'm capable of, I know what my limitations are, and knowing what you can't do, I feel like is just as important as knowing what you can do. Wife's makeup bag, not essential. Trauma kit, essential, but I also have a smaller one in my pack. So let's talk about gear for a second. So in my truck, I keep a couple of options, right? I keep a small pack that kind of has what I call my Spartan gear, the absolute essentials. And then I've got a larger rucksack with additional supplies that I could easily basically stick that inside of. And that would help supply me with necessary equipment for whatever life may throw at me. That also includes equipment not just for myself, but for my family and friends and such. So I like to have options depending on what I've got to do. If let's say, you know, I'm downtown in the town that I live near. Let's say I'm downtown right there. It's 20 miles away, give or take, and you know the bombs go off and the streets get shut down and the EMP happens and the SHTF is upon us. What would I do? I would grab the absolute minimum if I'm by myself, assuming I'm by myself. I would grab the absolute minimum, like this pack right there. Maybe not even that, I don't know, but I'd probably grab that because it's not very heavy. And I would just start getting it. And I could make it home in a day with almost no equipment. I could make it home in a day with zero equipment, actually, for the most part. Other than the stuff that's in my pockets. I might need a few things that I have in my pockets. So traveling light is going to make you more mobile. The more equipment, the more crap that you have, the more unnecessary items that you choose to carry on your back is going to slow you down, make you more immobile, and it's going to make you more likely to have injuries, whether those just be acute injuries where you slip, fall, twist your knee, something like that, or overuse injuries from the constant pounding on the pavement or whatever it is you're walking on. Stress fractures and all that kind of stuff can happen if you're not accustomed to it. And even if you are accustomed to it, if you're really pushing yourself, you can get those overuse injuries that take a long time to heal. So let's say I was to get a flat tire. Do you have a way to change a tire? Do you know how to change a tire? Do you have the tools in your vehicle to change that tire if you were to get something as common as a flat tire? I think these things are super, super crucial. Is your vehicle properly maintained so it will keep you running, keep you going? Have you changed the oil recently? All of this stuff, stay on top of it. Don't let it get, I'm just as guilty of it as anybody else. You get behind on maintenance on something like a vehicle, and then suddenly you've got this huge list of things that you need to fix and you haven't got to yet, and it's so overwhelming that you just are like, screw it. I'm just going to run this thing till it dies and then have to replace it, which is not very financially smart for the most part. So having a properly maintained vehicle, even if it's an older one like this, man, this thing is going to keep going and keep going. You can just keep fixing it, keep replacing parts, and it's going to save you money in the long run. That's just my personal opinion. But having a spare tire such as that one, that is a big one. Having tools to fix problems. I've got basic wrenches and ratchets and sockets and things like that. I got zip ties and all the stuff to temporarily get me through so I can find replacement parts and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, sure, I'm not gonna be able to fix anything and everything. Sometimes there's gonna be situations where you're just not gonna be able to fix it. If you broke an axle or something crazy, you know, you're just not gonna be able to fix that on the roadside for the most part. I get it, but that's why it's important to have more options. So, for example, I could carry something like this. This is an electric bicycle from Vituvia. And so far, I've had really, really good luck with it. My son has actually ridden it a lot more than me, and he is hard on equipment. I tell you what, he's crashed this thing a ton of times. It's scuffed up and abused. He's definitely took some diggers into the dirt and stuff on it and abused it. The only things that I've had issues with is the derailleur, and that is pretty much been the most common problem that I've had with any kind of mountain bike or bicycle that has multiple gears. So I think he hit that derailleur on something, tweaked it, bent it, and it caused it to not be able to change gears effectively. But overall, this bike has been really good. The battery lasts a long time. I'm at 79%, 78%, and I haven't had it on the charger in quite a while. It's got front end suspension, hardtail, so you're not going to be doing extreme off-roading or anything like that. But man, let's say that same situation if I was downtown 20 miles away and grid goes down, gridlock, traffic everywhere stops, you know, you're stuck in gridlock traffic or something like that on a major highway. You could pull something like this out of the back of the truck, hop on that thing and be home very fast. It goes 35 miles per hour on flat ground, no problem whatsoever. Add some hills to it, it slows you down, but man, it beats walking. That is for sure. I could throw that little pack or even the big pack that I've got. I could throw it on my back or strap it onto a rack like that one. And man, you are super mobile, super mobile. Having spare tubes and tires and things like that for something like this to keep it functional if it was to go down. Also a good idea. Having tools to repair something like this in the field I think is important. But you know, let's say truck goes down, hop on this thing, it goes down. I'm still fit enough, still able enough to walk my way home. And getting back on the subject of kit, man, you know, everybody has their own philosophies on things and why and how, and there's a duck walking into the shot here. Hello, duck. I got nothing for you. I got nothing. Shake a leg. Anyway, everybody has their own philosophies on what you need and how much you need and the percentage of your body weight you should be able to carry, all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, yes, I get that. And when you're talking about large groups of people, if you're talking about military units and stuff, you can apply generalities to those types of groups. However, you are your own individual and you need to do what works for you. So in my experience, lightening my load as much as possible has made me so much more comfortable, made me more mobile, and allowed me to get the job done more efficiently with less stress on my body. So get rid of all the crap. Go through your kit and decide, this is my opinion, go through your kit, decide the stuff that you need. Make 2 piles. I need this equipment in order to not die, okay? I need this stuff. Very crucial equipment, gotta have it. And then have another pile of want-to-haves. Gotta haves and want to haves. And then you can sort through that want to have pile and decide stuff that, you know, I maybe don't need it, but I'd really like to have this thing right here, and weed out the rest of that stuff and get rid of it. Because the heavier you are, the more loaded down you are with a giant big rucksack, you know, the more difficult it's going to be for you to get from A to B. And that could mean the difference between life and death. Another key concept to discuss that I mentioned in last week's video is having pre-established routes picked out. That's going to allow you to travel freely, or more freely. If you have no plan of how to get home except for the normal way, you only go one way to work, to and from work, and that's the only way that you know, and you don't really know the back roads because you just haven't felt like exploring them, haven't had the time, whatever, and you just only know one way. Grid goes down, GPS isn't functioning anymore. What do you do now? So having pre-established alternate routes to and from normal places that you go, just having a general lay of the land. If you're heading to a new place perhaps, maybe just look at a map and kind of figure out what's what, where are you located in generalities, you know, where are you located in the city? What's the easiest way out? What's, if the main highways get shut down for whatever reason, blocked or gridlocked traffic, are there alternative ways that you can easily get out of that so you're not stuck? These are things, pre-planning is a big one. In order for you to stay mobile, you have to have alternative routes. And I forgot to mention, the cool thing about a bike like this one is that even if the battery fails and you've lost all your juice or you forgot to charge it up or whatever, you can still ride it just like a bike. I mean, it's a heavy bike, of course. It's a lot heavier than your typical mountain bike sort of deal. But maybe I strip that battery off there if it's dead and it's not doing me good. I just get rid of that thing and lighten the load a little bit, and I pedal my way home. That's a definite option that I think is pretty cool, and that's kind of why I'm drawn to these electric bikes a little bit, because they're kind of a game changer. I mean, they're really fun. It's really fun to just cruise around effortlessly, even around here in the mountains and hills and stuff. Man, the difference between riding this and a standard mountain bike, you don't need to be in that good a shape. You don't need to be very fit. It's cheating for sure, and for that reason, I really like it. A lot of fun. Going along with physical fitness, physical ability, I think is testing yourself in different environments, testing yourself on different terrains, because, maybe you typically you work out at the gym, let's say, and you run on a treadmill all the time, and that's all you really ever do. And all you ever do is exercise on flat level surfaces. And then suddenly life throws you into a situation where you're on a hillside and you're on this right here with slippery rocks and leaves and holes in the ground and all this stuff, and you're not accustomed to that. I think it's important to train your body to get out and hike, go for walks, off-road walks, just cross-country walks and practice navigation while you're doing that. Practice identifying useful resources in the places that you're in. Practice those skills. Get your body acclimated to the terrain that you're in, because let's say, you know, let's go worst case scenario, grid down, chaos, world's on fire. People might be a little bit more on edge, and you might not just be able to walk freely down the roads without encountering some sort of hostilities. I don't know, so let's hope that never happens, but I think it's important to be able to handrail roads, get off of the road, and be able to navigate your way using basic navigation techniques. And being fit enough, being mobile enough to do that, I think is a big deal. And we can't wait until after the fact. We've got to be ready for that now. Maggie has built-in four-wheel drive, and she is always ready to go. Ready for action, aren't you, girl? And wouldn't that be nice? And I think about that a lot. How awesome would it be to be like a dog? You know, you got 4 stable legs, all-wheel drive all the time. You're dressed appropriately for all conditions, all weather. I mean, you can drink out of any puddle on the ground that you come across. Man, it'd be so nice to be like that. Be more like Maggie. One really cool thing about these rubber boots that I always wear all the time is that I'm not limited by the nastiness of the terrain that I'm walking through. I can walk right through this creek, no issues whatsoever, where everybody else is having to find some alternative route to get across it without getting their feet wet. Or they've got to stop, take off their boots and socks, roll up their pant legs, trudge across, and then put on the socks and boots again, which is a pain. It's a super big drag, especially in the wintertime. So although heavy and slow, this footwear is actually pretty awesome if you're having to navigate off of the beaten path. So how much storage space do you have in your vehicle? Let's say, you know, my home suddenly became not a safe place to be. Let's say I needed to become mobile and I needed to load up the family, load up all the supplies that I can, and I needed to get out of here just because, you know, as much as I'd like to stay here, this is my home and I've worked really hard for it, and I've saved up money and I've invested time and effort to building structures and fixing things and getting it the way I like. Yeah, but my family's safety is my #1 concern, and if this place became too unsafe and I had to ditch it, do I have enough capacity in my vehicle or vehicles to carry the necessary food and supplies that I might need to sustain my family wherever it is that we're going? Having a place to go, that's important as well. But in the back of my truck here, if it's empty, in its current state right now, I could put a lot of supplies back here. And that's one reason why I chose a big truck like this, is because I wanted to be able to haul a bunch of crap. And that's why I think it's important for any man to have a truck. You know, if you're driving a little big dinky car around, how much storage space do you have in that trunk? Are you going to be able to put all the supplies and stuff necessary if you should have to abandon your home base? In here, I could easily put a year's supply of food for my family in the back of this truck. I mean, I don't know about easily, but it's definitely a thing. I could definitely put a year's supply of food in the back of this truck and then head out. So I think that's really, really important. And along those same lines, like being willing to ditch your vehicle. Let's say, you know, it was no longer possible for me to drive this vehicle from point A to point B. You know, having thought about these things ahead of time, like how important is it to me to salvage this truck? It is important to me because I put a lot of time in it. It took me a year to build this thing. I've got a lot of time and money and effort into this vehicle, but still, I've already decided if it comes down to, you know, getting my family to safety and just ditching this thing on the side of the road and come back to it a month later and it's been burnt down to the ground or something, you know, I've decided that's what I'm going to do. Nothing is more important to me than keeping my family mobile, keeping my family on the go, getting them to safety if the situation should arise. All of the gear and all the equipment, everything that I have, I don't care about it. It's just stuff, and it can probably be replaced for the most part, depending on the world events that might occur in the future. Who knows? Maybe we'll never go back to motorized vehicles. We'll be back to horses and mules and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, I think it's important to stay mobile. I hope you guys get what I'm getting at. I'd really appreciate some other tips and advice for people. Leave that in the comments section, ways that you could stay more mobile. Everything from having good foot care on the trail, having foot powder and moleskin and all that stuff, because as soon as your feet stop working, your footwear fails you or whatever, you are no longer mobile and you're stationary and a sitting duck, perhaps. So anyway, leave that stuff in the comments. Leave me some tips. Leave me some tricks of the trade that maybe you've discovered from your hiking days or whatever, from your long distance road trips and all that kind of stuff. Love to hear about it in the comment section. Please hit the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. So many people that watch my videos are not subscribed to the channel. So please subscribe to the channel. Go over to my personal channel called On3, O-N-T-H-R-E-E, On3. Please subscribe to that. That would be great. Very grateful for that. I cannot wait to see you on the next one.